Hi, and welcome back to Mucky Hope Productions. I'm Vee, and I've got Coach Drew here again today to talk about our top 3 moments from this week's Survivor. Now, we've had a couple of weeks off, and so we've got a lot to talk about, but we're here to chat mainly about episode 9. How are you doing, Coach Drew?
I'm doing all right. I'm even better now that it doesn't look like we're going to have a steamroll the rest of the season. Spoilers. And I think it was a fine. Like the merge has not been the best, but I do think this episode kind of laid the groundwork for a potential very fun end game. I'm hoping so, but we'll see.
Right. Have you been surprised with how the last few weeks have gone? Has it changed your perspective of how this season has been going?
Yes, because the pre-merge was so much fun. Then the merge kind of like it just feels like it's just kind of like plateaued. It hasn't there hasn't been any high highs. It's just kind of been like, okay, yeah. Oh, okay, we're getting David and Shaheen and all. Like we don't hear from Star anymore, really. We really don't hear from Mitch. Really don't hear from Mary. Camilla sometimes. And it's just this power alliance that we're really that's control the content um for most of the merge. And that's frustrating because there are some appealing characters on this other side. And I feel like we don't really, the only things we know about them are what other people are saying. We don't really know and that's frustrating. The editing has not been the best. But like I said, like, once again, spoilers on the list, but like, because of what happened in this episode, I do think that we're on a path where we could get some very exciting things happening in the next couple of weeks.
Right. Well, let's jump into it. What's your number 3 moment?
Kyle and Shaheen, but like we'll start with Kyle right now. Kyle's whole smokescreen thing with David at the beginning of the episode, where he's like, "Hey David, or hey Shaheen, David, I think he's going to try to come after me and you," which is half true. He's really looking at Camilla and Shaheen, not looking at Kyle and Camilla as a duo. And basically, Kyle's going to make David and Shaheen paranoid enough that the targets go off of him and Camilla. And the reason I said Shaheen is because later on in the episode, it turns out that he's been doing the exact same thing. And I do, obviously, it ends up really messing with David the rest of the episode because David's just the paranoid mess the entire episode and really all of last week, too, where he kind of just shoots himself in the foot with how overly aggressive and paranoid he is. And to the point where, like, I know we've said this a lot this season, but like, you can never take him seriously. And I think in this episode, I feel like it was cemented. It's like, wow, I can't. This dude, he's convinced he's locked in for Final Three. He's locked in for this, and it was never going to happen.
He thought that if he talked enough about honor and integrity and no one lying, he would know absolutely everything that was going on. And it
Yes,
didn't
and,
work.
and it made him paranoid. He was to the point where at some point he's talking about how Kyle. I think he's talking about Kyle. It's weird that Kyle's not scrambling, right? Why isn't he scrambling? It's like, why would you want him scrambling if you have this locked in alliance that it will never? Why do you want Kyle scrambling? He shouldn't be
Mm.
paranoid at all. Now
Mm.
Kyle is scrambling. He's doing exactly your nose, of your all powerful nose and eyes. You can't notice that Kyle and Shaheen are both doing this, but that's for something else down the line.
All right. So, what's your number 2 moment?
Everything dealing with Eva and the advantage. She gets up in the middle of the night to go, and she's like, "Oh, I don't think anyone's following me." And we have Shaheen following her, going back, scaring Joe and waking him up, saying, "Hey, this is going on." Um, I liked the way that they set up the advantage in this situation, where she she just gets an extra vote. Cool. She could walk away gracefully with just the extra vote, or she could potentially sacrifice that extra vote for safety without power. But in no situation is she losing her vote, which is what she was afraid of, which I feel like most audience members at this point have been convinced to be afraid of because it happens all of the time. I'm glad that that wasn't on the table. And I'm glad that, I mean, even though I'm not rooting for Eva, I'm glad that she stuck with the decision of just keeping the safety without power instead of trying to risk it for the idol when your chances kind of go down. I'm sure there's a mathematician out there that says, "Oh, actually, if you do," I'm glad that she just stuck to her guns, kept safety without power. She already has an idol. She doesn't need two idols. Need two idols. So I think she made the right decision, and I'm glad that she told. I mean, Joe says, "I don't care because I know she's going to tell me," which she did. But she also tells Shaheen, and she tells Kyle. I think that really continues to push this narrative of she has people that her friends. She keeps referring to them as her friends, and I think that her friends really have her back, at least right now. But we'll see what happens in these last few weeks.
I think it was a great way to spice up the whole idea of the idol without it, becoming that whole lose your vote stakes thing. It made it into a task or a game or a challenge, that kind of thing. And so I liked that approach from the producers rather than just finding another idol.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't know why they'll just do things like that more often. Like, oh, she lost an extra vote, but it's not that huge of a deal because she still has her vote. I hope that this is a trend that they continue, where it's like, oh, you could have this, you could have this, but don't worry. At the end of the day, none of this actually matters because you still have your vote. Yeah, you miss out on advantages and extra votes and all of that, but you still have your vote. So I hope that that continues.
Yeah. And what's your number one moment?
Well, so I got an honorable mention, a dishonorable mention, and then so my honorable mention is the only content that we really get from Mitch and Star this episode, as Mitch teaching Star how to swim on land. But that was a fun, cute little moment because they're side characters now. Basically, they had to give them some type of content. So I really enjoyed that. Dishonorable mention, I'm going to give to Joe because when he wins the challenge and he's picking people, it's like, oh wow, he's picking everyone but Eva, and that's great because they're already looked at as a duo because they are. Just pick other people, and people might disassociate you two. And and then Jeff says one more, and he's like Eva, and I'm like, oh, you fool! Pick anyone else. Pick because this episode has like there was a lot of moments in this episode where they are both saying, hey, let me just talk to Eva real quick. Let me talk to Joe real quick before I make any type of decision. It's like you guys are being so outward with this. You're doing the exact opposite of what Kyle and Camilla are doing, where no one suspects them except for David, but he's gone. No one suspects them. Everyone knows you two exist and are working close together and will never vote each other out. Your times are coming. And we're at an even number right now, so maybe not this week, but like next week, one of them is probably going to go. So that's a dishonorable mention. But my number one is the end of the Honor Integrity Alliance. And David leaving. I didn't hate David. David ended up being a pretty fun character up until I guess the last two episodes, where it's like, okay, I think you may have outstayed your welcome. But I did enjoy watching his downfall.
Well, yeah, just trying to force people that no one's allowed to lie because he says it often enough wasn't really a strategy that was going to work.
Well, and then things like telling Joe, oh, you broke your word, and saying it so matter of factly that you're looking at Joe and you can tell he's pissed off. And instead of like rephrasing, David kind of just doubles down on it. It's like, oh, maybe you just don't remember. Like, I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, it's very clear this man is now upset that you went after his word. The thing that he says he would never break, he never breaks his word. And you're coming after that.
Yeah.
David was a fun character. I'm glad David's gone now instead of having to. We're already going to sit there at the end and listen to his jury speech about how he played the game with honor and integrity. Then the three people sitting at the end didn't, and they don't deserve his vote. But we don't have to hear it the rest of the season. We can just wait till the finale before we have to hear that mess again.
And then he can get a tattoo, honor and integrity across his big chest and show it off.
It's almost like I said, you never took him seriously. Like even in that alliance, I never felt like he had any chance at winning. And there's a lot of people in that group. I think it's 5 people now, but I think he was always last in my head of like, oh, this guy has no chance. These people are not taking him seriously. Mary kind of, but like I think Mary has a better chance than he did. Like it's but I will miss his goofiness on my screen.
Yeah. Yeah, him in the early game was very fun. I loved him.
Yeah, it's very. The pre-merge was so fun.
Yeah.
The pre-merge was so fun. All these characters were so fun, and then the merge, we half of them become invisible. You really get tired of Joe and Eva's duo because it's like, how are people not doing anything about this? Shaheen's like the main character now, which is fine. And David just became a caricature, basically, of what he has been this season.
I think we're really missing out on Star. I think she's got so much to say and is so important to the game, and we're just not seeing enough of her, and that's really disappointing me.
Yeah, her tribal conversation was so funny, and it's like, and it was just a brief moment, but it's like, yes, she's making great TV, but production doesn't see that, I guess, and we need to see even Joe, and we need to see David, and it's like, okay, we've seen enough of them. Just give us a couple. I'm not a Mitch person. Just give us something. Like, it was cute teaching Star how to swim, but like,
it doesn't matter.
How do they feel about things right now?
Yeah. I think, it was a cute moment teaching Star to swim, and if it was episode 2 or 3, I'd be more interested. But now I want to know what Star thinks. I want to know what Mitch thinks. I want less about them fluffing around, more about them and how they feel, like you said.
Yeah. But maybe with David gone now, we might get more of that. But I doubt it.
So who's your winner pick?
Camilla. Like, I want to keep saying Camilla or Kyle.
Yeah.
But I feel like the edit is starting to show maybe Shaheen as the winner. Which is fine. Like, I wouldn't hate that or anything, but Camilla and Kyle I'm still riding with.
I'm going to stick with Camilla as well. My concern is, like you said, that the edit's not really showing her enough to make me think that, there's always time. My concern is also she does look utterly overwhelmed and intimidated at challenges. She never seems to. I don't think she'll win individual immunity.
No, I mean, probably not, but like, that doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So that's my concern with her, though, that I don't think, it's enough to not win, but the fact that she seems to be so intimidated by the challenges, whenever you see her on camera, she's sort of shrunken away from the whole thing, and I just, that concerns me. But I'm just going to stick by her this week at least.
We have to.
Well, it was lovely talking to you again, Coach Drew, after all these weeks away. Let me find my little thing. Oh, that's our Instagram thing. So make sure you follow Mucky Hope Productions on Instagram, and that will give you an idea of what we've got coming up. We've got a lot of Australia versus the world content coming up. Mucky is obsessed. So if you're looking forward to Australia versus the world, make sure you subscribe. Oh, there's the subscribe now thing. Make sure you subscribe because there's going to be a lot of content because we're just going to be tearing this thing and looking at it from every angle and, every angle, every episode, every second of every episode will be discussed. So if you're excited about that, subscribe now. Thanks for joining me, Coach Drew, and I'll catch you next week. Bye, everyone.
See you next week.